What's going on, folks? I am Goat, and welcome to Goat's Football Breakdown. You know the deal on this one. So, week 5 evaluation. If I seem like I'm squinting or doing anything crazy, my vision's fucking with me and I'm all fucked up. So, whatever. Let's get into this. I'm changing my format so I'm not looking all over the place, so it's just right here. I'll just be glancing up and kind of looking at my notes. All right? So, Rams versus Seahawks. Rams 26, Seahawks 17. This was a big game of interest for me because it's NFC West. It has been a contested division to a point, at least 3 out of 4 of the teams, and I think it's going to be a little less now. Rams, in the first half, they just looked absolutely out of sorts. Almost like Stafford was leaning back towards his old Lions ways, which is not the best thing for them. Let's be honest. It's just not. You see the camera moving. I'm trying to make adjustments here. So yeah, and the defense was blowing their obvious coverages against Metcalf and Lockett. Like, you absolutely fucking know that is where he's throwing the fucking ball. There's no getting around that. And they were just screwing that up, man. Well, I'm going to adjust my volume. This looks bad. Bad, baby. Bad. Okay. So, anyway. That was the first half. Second half, the offense definitely squared up a whole lot better, except that they just didn't seem to be able to close out the game up until the defense got that Geno Smith pick towards the end of the game and they got themselves in a field goal range. The defense is what's bugging me. The defense is kind of showing signs that they're having a few more struggles than they've been admitting. So they really, honestly, they kind of let Seattle stay in this game a lot more than I thought they would. I mean, Seattle's not a terrible team, but they've got their problems. So, I don't know. Kind of was what it was. So for the Seahawks, the first half, the defense was very, very aggressive because they knew that this was a game that they needed to win to stay in contention in the division against 2 very good teams above them. It's a game that they needed to win. So they came into this game very, very aggressive. The offense, they were given obvious targets, like I said, with Lockett and Metcalf. Why not do it? Why not, right? Second half, Wilson with that finger. Oh my fucking God. If anybody saw that, his finger looked like a Bennett pipe cleaner or something. Ugh. God damn. Ugh. Ruptured a tendon in his finger, taken out of the game. Geno Smith comes in. And he's going to be out like 6 to 8 weeks. That's a bad deal. The defense really fell into the tale of 2 halves for me. The first half, they look really good. The second half, not so much. It's like the Rams got their bearings and the defense just lost their shit. It's the sign of a good team going against a team that's not making good adjustments. The Rams made good adjustments. They came back and they won the game. It's just how it is. So just truthfully, they just didn't have the oomph to close it out because Russell Wilson was out of the game. Geno Smith off the bench. And truthfully, I don't think Geno played bad except for that pick. That pick is really just like the nail in the coffin for him. But Geno didn't look terrible. So I think Geno might, and I say might because he's been kind of he's going to be great and then not so much. But I think Geno might be able to carry it at least to squeeze them by until Russell Wilson's back. But we'll see. Jets versus Falcons. First of all, I want to apologize from the United States of America and our fan base for the NFL. The UK deserved a much better game than this played on their turf. That just has to be said because this was 2 garbage fucking teams. I don't know what the hell the NFL was thinking scheduling this, thinking that this was going to be a good game. Like, sure, fun, bunch of fucking offense, no goddamn defense. So let's be honest here. The Jets, unfortunately, are what they are this year. They're going to be very up and down at best. They might squeeze a few wins, but I don't see a positive winning season from them this year. I assume that this would be a shootout of 2 shit teams, and that's pretty much what it was. The Falcons and the Jets are both a mess, and they showed that in this game. And honestly, this game really just turns into a background stat of, well, we had to have a game at this, for this week. These 2 teams had to play somewhere. I was really hoping, honestly, in the offseason that the Falcons were going to grow more than they have, but honestly, they're just carrying over last year into this year. So, that's this game. Jets lost 20-27 under the Falcons. So, good on the Falcons for getting a win, but it's really nothing amazing. Patriots-Texans score 25-22. Patriots win. Yeah, 25-22. Wasn't expecting it to be that close. Patriots. I was high on the Patriots last week for a pretty dominant performance to their loss to the Bucks. Yes, they lost, but it was a dominant game. Mac Jones, this week, 23 of 30 for 231 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. 6 different rushers for 126 yards on the ground, and they barely eked out a win against a shit-ass garbage team like the Texans. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I don't. I really don't. I don't understand how you defensively fuck up like this, okay? They just literally could not hit the end zone. They couldn't get pay dirt for shit. 4 field goals and 2 touchdowns just isn't a winning way for the Patriots. It's just not. Granted, they won. Good for them that they won. That's good. They could have done better. Here's where it kills me. They went against arguably the worst quarterback in football right now. Okay? Literally the worst quarterback. They got 3 sacks and gave up 311 yards in the air, but only 67 yards on the ground. So for a team that struggles against the run, all of a sudden they shore up the running game or the run defense and then just totally fucking flop on the fucking pass defense. Like, what the hell? There's no way that the Texans should have been in this game, much less allowed to be this close in the game. The only thing that is a positive is that they at least shut out the Texans in the fourth quarter. That's it. It's not a good day for the Pats on this game. Just wasn't. The Texans. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks that I just don't see that David Mills is that guy, is a good quarterback. And right now, I still feel that way. The Pats defense had a really shitty day. That doesn't mean that David Mills has all of a sudden become amazing. He went 21 of 29 for 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that's great for him, especially since all they could do was pull up 67 yards of total rushing on the ground with 4 different fucking players. Good on the offense for staying in the game, but if you can't finish the game off, just go home, and that's exactly what they couldn't do offensively. They could not finish this game out. They got to the fourth quarter and went, guess not. Defensively, they honestly weren't terrible per se, but they weren't great either. They got the opportunity to pick on a rookie quarterback and give their team a chance, but then they give up 126 yards on the ground and let him get comfortable. I can't wrap my head around the Texans. I just can't. They're such a fucking mess, and it really does fall back on Bill O'Brien and all of his bad choices and what this team has now become. So, and the Deshaun Watson thing has not made it worse. Or has not made it better. I mean, it's definitely made it worse. Lions and Vikings. This will be quick. Lions 17, Vikings 19. Okay. The right team won the game, but not by much. That's literally the story of the season for both these teams. The Lions are just bad this season. The Vikings, personally, I see they're going to eke out a few wins here and there, but it's not really looking good for them at all. That's really all I got to say on that game. Here's one I didn't expect. Eagles and Panthers. Eagles 21, Panthers 18. This is a what game? Jalen Hurts goes 22 of 37 for a grand total of 198 yards in the air and a pick. They only run for 91 yards, and they won the game. Rushed for 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, and that was literally enough to beat the Panthers. An average team that needs work, and they won a game that I was picking for them to lose. Kudos for an ugly win. Defensively, they snagged 3 picks and 3 sacks. That certainly helps the average offense pull out a win. That's the truth. Panthers, I don't have words. Apparently, I put a fucking jinx on Sam Darnold with this, okay? By just saying anything good about him, because damn. Dude went 21 of 37 for 177, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. I mean, I don't give a damn what you're doing. If you give up 3 turnovers and you only get 1 back on it, most teams are not going to win that fight. They're just not. Even with 113 yards on the ground, it's just not enough to counter that kind of bad quarterback play. It's just not. Defensively, they just couldn't shut down a team that needs work. That's a big problem. This team either has just had a couple of bad weeks, or they're really starting to show who they are this season. And I'm starting to kind of have that fear that it's the second side, because truthfully, I was really thinking that the Panthers might turn a leaf, kind of turn that leaf this year. But these last couple of weeks have not been good. Saints, Washington. Saints 33, Washington 22. Saints, the better team won, but Jameis Winston is starting to kind of show his old ways a little bit here and there, and it is a little bit troubling. He didn't have a terrible day, but he only went 15 of 30, so he had a 50%, 50% completion percentage. He just didn't look good. He did have 4 touchdowns and only 1 pick, so that's good. But with a 50% completion average, that's just not going to cut it against great teams. It's just not. And that's a big, big issue with his performance, is that kind of completion percentage, just because you're getting some good deep balls and some touchdowns, doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to really cut it against the good teams, because the good teams could potentially cut that out. Just saying. Washington's defense, they finished out with only 98 yards on the ground, which is good for Washington, bad for the Saints, but good for Washington. Washington's defense is definitely built to stop the run and slow down the running attack of the Saints is definitely a statement for them. But honestly, the Saints really should have come out much better prepared than what they were. Washington, this is another one of those, they let Washington stay in this game. I don't know how. I don't know how, man. Washington, we'll go to Washington now. Washington is just an average team at best. That's what they are. Taylor Heineke goes 20 of 41 for 248 yards and 2 picks. That's not going to win games. It's just not. Even rushing for 131 yards, that's the only thing that really kept him in this fucking game. Nothing else. The only kudos that I can give is that their defense finally stood up against that Saints running game. That's it. That's all. End of story. They gave up 4 fucking touchdowns. They got a pick, but they gave up 4 fucking touchdowns, and they gave up, and they only gained 131 yards rushing, and their quarterback gave up 2 picks. That's bad. It's bad. The Saints won. In the performance, I honestly assumed it was going to be more of a blowout than what it was. Titans, Jaguars. This is no surprise. The Titans fucking won 37-19 over the Jags. The Titans are such a confusing team right now. Tannehill goes 14 of 22 for 197 yards and a touchdown. That is the formula of success for him. Low amount of pass, good completion rating, doesn't need a ton of fucking yards because they rushed for 184 fucking yards. That's how you win with Ryan Tannehill. If you don't put the pressure on him and you let him just play the game off of the play action and look for the deep shots when they're actually there, because everybody's scared shitless of stopping the run, so you've got a lot of potential deep passes in there if you need them, and they're going to show up. That's how you win with Ryan Tannehill. Defensively, I am lost with this team. It's a mess. It really is. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at this. They gave up 273 yards in the air and 198 on the ground. I'm honestly amazed that this game was not closer than the score reflected. Going up against the Jags, how in the hell do you give up those kind of stats if your defense is good? Guess what? The Titans' defense this year, not good. The Jags, this team has so much horse shit on it right now, I just don't see them winning much at all. Kudos for exploiting the hell out of the Titans' fucked up defense for 273 in the air and 198 on the ground. But when your defense literally almost cannot create issues for the opponent's quarterback and you can't stop the run for shit, how do you expect to win? That's the truth. Dolphins, Bucks. This is exactly what I expected out of this game. Truth be told, Dolphins 17, Buccaneers 45. Yeah. Dolphins, when you go up against a bang-up secondary, you should throw the ball. Sadly, that's exactly what they did. But you got to make sure that your QB is up to the task, and you got to be able to protect him very well. And you got to go up against that Bucs D-line, and that's a task in itself that they just weren't up to. Jacoby Brissett was not really amazing per se, but he was 27-39 for 2 touchdowns and a single pick. That's not a terrible day. But it's a bad day if you can't build on what you've already got. And that's been the story of Miami this year. They've got potential, but they're just still hanging on to that mediocre line. Defensively, they just got their asses kicked this game. I mean, what do you say? They got their asses kicked. I mean, this is just the truth. The Bucs, even with a banged-up secondary, and they do have a very banged-up secondary, getting Jason Pierre-Paul back on the D-line was a huge help to that unit's confidence, okay? It really was. Also going up against a very mediocre offense is more than enough to give you kind of that feel-good, stomp the piss out of somebody kind of game. And Brady did what he did. Came in with the usual Bucs scheme that they've been doing. Put up a pretty damn dominant performance. The only thing I will say is, just like last week, Brady looked a little off. He just did. I can't possibly say otherwise. Brady just looked a little bit off. He was just overthrowing some. He just wasn't throwing as good as you would expect, as good as you see him. Packers Bengals. This one didn't shock me. Not by the win or by the gameplay. This was really the game of field goal kickers. Because this game, I don't even know what it was. I think it was 5 or 6 missed field goals. I just don't know what to say. Packers played a very sound game, honestly. Rodgers went 27-39 for 344 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Plus, they rushed for 133 yards. The issue is that they've been very lucky that Devontae Adams is as solid of a receiver for Rodgers to fall back on. Defensively, I don't see that they played a bad game. They forced 2 turnovers, and they held the Bengals to under 400 yards. And given what the Bengals' offense is, that's actually... I mean, if a team gives up 400 yards, that's not good, but it's enough in this game to make it good enough. Not amazing, but solid. That's all I can really say. The Packers defense was not amazing by any means, but it was good enough. I mean, it had to go to overtime, and there was a fuck ton of missed field goals, and it was just a mess, but whatever. The Bengals. I said it a couple of fucking weeks ago that I saw the potential in what this team could be. This game, going against a pretty solid Packers team, and it literally came down to the overtime and a shit ton of missed field goals. This team has the makings of something to be really good. They've just got to protect Burrow, solidify the rushing attack, and defensively, they need to cinch up the holes. They really do, man. They really do. They gave up 466 yards and gave the ball away twice. Hard to win against a really good team when you can't stop them. This year, I don't know that I see them going all the way. I just really don't. They've got too many holes. Next year, the year after, different story. You've got a young quarterback. You do have some good pieces on this team, so it's possible. This team doesn't... Okay, so the next game doesn't surprise me, but then again, Broncos 19, Steelers 27. So the Broncos, let's break down this head-splitting performance. Teddy Bridgewater goes 24-38 for 288 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick, and they rush for 106 yards with 3 different players. And that would typically be the recipe for success in most games, except especially having 2 field goals in there as well. But sadly for their offense, Teddy throws a game-closing pick at the end of the game to seal their fate. Kudos for Teddy Bridgewater, by the way, for coming back off a concussion. That's great. But if you end out the game on a pick, that's a bad deal, man. Bad deal. Another troubling part is that the Broncos have what is potentially being a very dominant defense, but it was not in this game. They gave up 253 yards in the air and 145 on the ground to a team that has a shit run game. It's just how you lose games. You throw a pick at the end of the fucking game and your defense gives up a shit ton of yards on the ground to a team that can't run the ball. Steelers, I said it before, if you force Big Ben to throw the ball more than 35 times, especially in his particular state, if you make him throw the ball more than 35 times, they are just not going to win sustainably. They're not. Ben Roethlisberger went 15 of 25 for 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks, and they rushed for 145 fucking yards with 5 players. That is how you take the pressure off of Ben Roethlisberger and make him win at this point. Because right now, he looks aged as fuck. I mean, he looks like an old-ass dude out there playing. He really does. And he's younger than some. So, it's not to take away from anything that their defense did, but they actually kind of got outplayed in a few parts of the game by a mediocre offense. They won, and that's great. And they finished out the game on a pick. That's great. But they really need to shore up this defense. There's so much talent on the Steelers' defense, man, and they're just not playing up to what I think their potential is. Bears Raiders, another game of interest for me. Bears 20, Raiders 9. Yeah. If there was ever a time for the Bears to step the fuck up defensively, this was it. Go against a good team and step up. Now, they kept the Raiders uncomfortable basically the entire fucking game. They held the Raiders to a whopping 22 total yards on the ground and only 206 yards in the air. and got a pick. That's what I expect from the Bears defense. That's what I've been saying. They got the talent. They just got to do it. The offense, literally, all they had to do was just put points on the board and stay ahead of the Raiders. That's all they had to do to put the game away, and that's exactly what they did. The Raiders, what the fuck do you say about this? Aside from the John Gruden mess, which, that's a mess in itself. Aside from that mess, what do you say about this? This is a piss poor performance. The Raiders got outplayed by a lesser team, in my opinion, at least from the offense to offense side of things. They went toe-to-toe offensively, both teams all night, and the Raiders being the better squad, but they just weren't in this game. The Raiders' defense did well enough to keep the Bears from scoring too much, but the offense couldn't keep up at all. With all the stuff being dug up about John Gruden from a decade ago with old emails and everything else, and now Gruden being released from his contract on Monday, I just truly question where this team's going, because Gruden really was kind of that driving, grinding force for the team. So where's this team going to end up now? Now, they're going to have an interim special teams coach, I think, running the team right now. I don't know where the hell this team is going to be. Hopefully, they pick themselves up and try to grow on this, but I just don't know. I don't know. Without Gruden, I don't know how this locker room is going to be. Because Gruden is that grimy, grindy, fuck you, you're going to do your goddamn job kind of guy. And without him, I don't know how well this squad's going to hold together. We'll see. I mean, that's all I can say. So Browns, Chargers. Shocker. Another game of interest. And truthfully, I think this should have been the America's doubleheader game of the week instead of the Cowboys game, and we'll talk about that. Browns 42, Chargers 47. The Browns, as I said, there are some issues with this defense, and it's been hit and miss. This game, man, they just didn't even show up. I mean, it's like the Browns just went to fucking sleep, and they just didn't even show up for this game as far as defensively goes. The Browns' offense had their struggles. They did, and they made a very questionable 3rd and 10 call towards the end of the game. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence in Baker Mayfield or what, but why in the fuck you would try to run on a 3rd and 10 when you're trying to go and close out a game, or at least catch up? I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that one. Like I said, they either don't trust Baker Mayfield or they're just that sure about their offensive line and their running attack. And they do have a good O-line, don't get me wrong. But that screams like they just don't trust Mayfield to get it done. Or they're afraid he's going to make an idiotic mistake. I don't know. I'm not in that fucking locker room. I don't know, but that's just what it looks like. That or they just have that much confidence in their running game. And it's a good running attack. But 3rd and 10... when you're needing to kill a game, and your defense just ain't cutting it, that's when you get the first down. That's not when you go risking it for the biscuit on a 3rd and 10 with a running call. I don't know what the hell that was. Either way, though, they put on a show. They literally went against a really good growing squad, and they came up short with a few questionable calls. This is how it is. So the Chargers, like I said, they look legit. They're now leading the AFC West. They got into an offensive shootout with a team that hasn't had a need for it other than the Chiefs game. And they did very well. Justin Herbert's play in the second half is a testament to the coach's confidence in what this kid is able to do. It just is. It's easy to see why they trust him. He's smart and he's capable. He makes very good plays. Their defense, just like the Browns, they just didn't show the fuck up. This was an offensive shootout. It was. And the Chargers came out with a win. Giants, Cowboys. Giants lose 24-44. No fucking surprise, especially since they lost their starting running back and their starting quarterback, and they're already banged up like a motherfucker anyway. Saquon Barkley has to be the king. I mean, he needs a crown for the king of freak injuries. I don't know if anybody watched this game, but my God, that rolled ankle, oh Jesus, 90 degrees and hit shit swelled up like a fucking cantaloupe within like 5 minutes. It was bad. And then Daniel Jones got knocked the fuck loopy trying to run the ball in. Now granted, kudos to him for trying to fucking, put some drive in that offense. Here, let's go run this ball down their throat. And then he got knocked stupid. Bad deal. Very, very bad deal. It's like this team's just got some horrible juju on them. Kudos to them. And it's a tribute to Joe Judge, their head coach, for that team not stopping playing, even being down, man. They played to the end of that damn game. So there is a core to the team that you can look at and say, they're trying. They're just so beat up and they're just making stupid ass mistakes at shooting themselves in the foot. It is what it is. So the Cowboys, the first 3 drives, 2 turnovers and a field goal. That's honestly a really rough hole to dig out of, but I'll be damned if they didn't dig out of that son of a bitch with 515 total yards of offense and only 1 turnover. God. I'm sorry. 2 turnovers. I don't know why I typed 1. There's 2. I just said 2. 515 yards, 2 turnovers. But they got 1 of them back. That's why I said 1. Their defense did struggle a bit against a beat-up squad, but not really a ton. They really gave more fluff numbers than anything else, and I don't really hold those fluff numbers with a team like the Giants, especially when you're just leading, okay? Honestly, even as bad as they played, or even though they didn't play terrible, they didn't play amazing, but man, they blew out a really bad team. That's good. That's really good. They should have. Because honestly, to me, the Cowboys look legit. They really do. I think that they could at least be a contestable, contending team in the NFC. So, that's that. Cardinals 49ers. The only thing I'm surprised about with this is the fact of the score. Okay? 49ers 10, Cardinals 17. The 49ers defense held the Cardinals to 17 fucking points. That's good. Not surprising to me as far as the outcome. It is more of a surprise to me that the 49ers defense finally seemed to gel a bit better and hold the Cardinals to under 20 points. Given how dynamic the Cardinals squad is, that's a feat to hold their head up high even though they did lose the game. I don't even have anything to say about the offense because they put up 10 points. That Cardinals defense is legit, okay? It just is. The 49ers did something to the Cardinals that I don't think anybody else has done this season yet, and they held them to under 20 yards. They basically shut down the run game and just dared Kyler Murray to just throw the ball on him, and he did. The Cardinals running game was held to a whopping 94 fucking yards with 5 different guys, so that's actually really low for them. And their defense stood up exceptionally well against that 49ers offense. That's what the game was. So this one's going to be a little bit longer because it's the, again, home team for me, and it's exactly what I expected was going to happen. Bills versus Chiefs. Bills 38, Chiefs 20. This was a statement game from the Bills, and not a surprise to me, honestly. This doesn't show me a lot just yet, and I'll explain. So first of all, they came in with one hell of a game plan defensively, and is honestly just not a surprise. The Bills coaching staff were adamant last year at the end of after the AFC Championship game that the Chiefs and the Ravens on the AFC side of the ball were the teams that they were going to have to build against defensively and make a statement that they were going to stand up against them and beat them. And they have, built a stronger defense. And guess what? They've done that so far. Yes, they've played shit teams up to this point. We're going to get into that. Their game plan was absolutely solid for a large majority of the game. Solid. Game started out raining, had a fucking like a 90-minute fucking, or it was an hour or an hour and a half storm delay due to lightning. And they still came back out, looked like crap in the third quarter, and still beat the hell out of them. It is what it is. Even in a torrent of a storm in the fourth quarter, the Bills came out even more aggressive just to put the game away and only leave the Chiefs with under 6 minutes to try to overcome an 18-point lead. It's just not going to happen. Josh Allen went for 15 of 26 for 3 touchdowns and no picks, and the team rushed for 121 yards, most of which was Josh Allen. The defense ran a simple two deep safety set and dared the Chiefs to pass underneath or run. And like the Ravens and the Bucks like the Ravens did earlier this season and the Bucks from the Super Bowl, it worked extremely well. The real question that has to be asked is what's been asked all week. Are the Bills for real? Let's face it, man. This game did not prove to me that the Bills are for real yet. I see the Bills at this point being one of the highest, if not the highest contender for the AFC. I really do. Even by saying that I don't see them as being for real yet, because they're a good squad. Okay, they really are. But I mean, I really think that the AFC is going to come down to most likely the Bills and the Ravens. I just do. I 100% do. I think those are the 2 best teams in the AFC. I really do. Right now. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Bills either, because like I said, they're very, very solid. But the only thing that I think that they proved in this game is not that they can beat good teams, but they proved how bad the Chiefs actually are by how good they played. If that makes any sense. The Chiefs, well, the struggles continue. And it's ridiculous to say the least. They have this much talent on the roster. This is literally a team built for the Super Bowl. And they're sitting in 4th place in their division and looking like one of the worst teams in the AFC, or if not the NFL. They just generally look like shit. This was just a shit game for the Chiefs. So first of all, the defense is a fucking mess, and I think I can state the obvious with this point. The defense is shit. Steve Spagnuolo, he has got to finally admit that Daniel Sorensen is a terrible full-time safety to play alongside of Tyrann Mathieu. He's got to. It's the huge question that everybody here in Kansas City is asking. Sorensen is a great nickel corner or safety sliding player, but Juan Thornhill is so much of a better player than Daniel Sorensen is as far as maintain stability over a long period of time. So I don't know what the hell they're thinking. Daniel Sorensen is a spur of the moment good playmaker, but he's not a sustained game player. He's just killing the defense right now. And I'm not putting it all on the defense, but I'm not putting the entire defensive fuck up on Daniel Sorensen, but he gave up some big ass plays in this game. And it was really what put the game away. Offensively, this just kills me. It's like Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are literally, and that's head coach and offensive coordinator for those who don't know, but it's like Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy are surprised that teams are coming in overly prepared to smash their game plans into dust. It's just what it is. I don't have words for how unprepared the team looks. Mahomes went 33 of 54 for 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a fumble, with 121 on the ground. Now, I will say that the 2 picks were just freaks, and that's been kind of the thing. He's thrown some pretty blatantly bad passes, but the 2 in this game were just fluke-ass passes. He tried to flip one underneath the fucking defensive end, and the defensive end smacked it up in the air, caught it, and that was the interception. There you go. The other one was one that oh my God, having a moment. Tyreek Hill, sorry. Tyreek Hill should have caught that ball. Popped right out of his fucking hand, right into the hands of fucking safety. Boom, have a nice day. Pick 6. What do you say? With all the schemes being blown up, Mahomes is literally out on this island making dumbass mistakes like this. And it's like as soon as he snaps the ball, the teams are just blowing up whatever the play is, and he's just having to just kind of fly by the seat of his fucking pants. The Bills were absolutely the better team in this game. No qualms about it, admitting that fact either. No qualms about it whatsoever. The Chiefs has a shitload of work to do if they want to have any kind of success in this division, because right now the team that they've got to beat is the Chargers, and the Chargers came in and smacked the shit out of them. So it is what it is. Colts Ravens. As I expected, I did not expect the game to come down to a fucking touchdown in overtime, I will say that. But Colts 25, Ravens 31. So as I said last week, the Colts beat the Dolphins, and that's something to feel good about. Sure. They came in and they made a statement against the Ravens in the first half. I mean, they certainly did that. They made one hell of a statement in the first half. They really did. Defensively, they stymied the shit out of a very dynamic offense. And Carson Wentz has got so much to prove, and he definitely showed up in that first half. The problem was the second half. Completely different story. They allowed the Ravens to come back, tie the game, and instead of pressing for the end zone at the end of regulation, when your kicker is struggling, you choose to go for a fucking field goal. I mean, you're at the end of the fucking game anyway. Throw a fucking bomb at the end zone. Give it a chance. Something. Your field goal kicker's fucked up. They were even saying he was injured. Why go for a field goal? It was like a 46 or a 56-yard field goal. It was terrible. He fucking just missed. Not to say that either way is right or wrong, but it just seems fucked up, okay? They lost in overtime. If they have anything to build on, it's their first half play. Take away the second half play, look at the first half and build on that, because they played very well in the first half. The second half was just trash. Ravens. What to say? The first half, it's like both sides of the ball were just in shock. The Colts came in ready to play them with a really good game plan. The second half, they made their adjustments just like a fucking great team should do. It's a team built for standing up for what's thrown at them. It's just the truth. The Ravens are. Harbaugh's not a dumb coach. He's not. And he's got the team to really fucking get shit done if they just focus. And that's what they did in the second half. Even if they had to take it down to the fucking wire because of all their first half foul ups and lack of play, they took it down to the wire, got it into overtime, and won. Give them credit. Good and great teams come back from behind and can win games. Look at what the Chiefs have done in the last 2 years. Come back from double-digit fucking deficits and win. Ravens did it. Kudos. So that's week 5. Boom, done. Simple, easy, have a nice day. So yeah, we'll catch up with you for the week 6 evaluation, guys. We'll catch you later.